Yeah, I'm going to take your sweater off.
Let's take your
Let's take your sweater off. Let's take your sweater off. Good book. All right, let's look at the time. What's the time? We are live. Okay. I'm covered in pug hair. All right, so today is yoga for anxiety. First moving class with the bug at the studio. So we'll see how this goes. She might be a little distracting. She might lose her studio privileges. So let's see. So we're going to start down on our back. Come on down to your back. Start to land on... She just looks me in the ear. All right, sit down. Start to land on your back. Take any last wiggles. Really land on the mat. We're going to be working a lot with the breath today. Can you my hair? So just starting to land. Find which parts of your body are touching support. Find the position for your feet where your feet are on the ground, your knees are up, but your back is most soft. So maybe wiggle the feet a little further away from the glutes, a little closer. Find the part where your lower back releases and softens. And start to find a little sacred space. So starting to build up like a little imaginary barrier around your mat, locking out yesterday, locking out tomorrow. Just landing in the here and now on the mat. Giving yourself permission to take a break from everything else for the next 60 minutes. Perhaps even taking a moment to say to yourself, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. And then check in with how you're doing. Notice how you're doing mentally. Notice how you're doing physically. Notice how you're feeling emotionally. And try to listen for the answers without judgments and giving yourself labels of what you should or should not feel or think. And just sit there patiently, checking in the way you would with a dear friend. And then start to notice the breath. Notice your natural breath pattern. Notice what happens when you start to focus on it. We're going to start with spinal breaths. So thinking about bringing our breath in through the crown of our head, down our spine to our tailbone, and then all the way back up. And if it helps you to give it a color or a temperature or texture, something to help you visualize this, then go ahead and do that. And we're going to imagine that we could draw our breath in through the crown of our head, slowly all the way down to the tailbone, and then all the way slowly back out. And as we're doing this, try not to add too much muscular force to the breathing muscles. Practicing breathing just with your intention. Focusing just on your breath and nothing else. And then begin to explore adding a little gentle pause at the end of the exhale. Breathing in, breathing out fully, gentle pause. And if it helps, you can even talk yourself through this to help keep you focused on your breath. I am breathing in, I am very slowly breathing out. Gentle pause. And then we're going to start to add muscular action to our breath. Just slight engagement, not tensing and forcing, but just gentle engagement of the muscles. So as you breathe in, try to have everything in the body as relaxed as possible. Letting everything soften. All the muscles of the torso, all the muscles of the face, the shoulders, everything soft. And then as you breathe out, just a gentle engagement from the muscles at the base, around your tailbone, and then as if you could follow your tailbone up. Find all those little muscles that are in close to the spine and engage them as they follow the breath up. Add that gentle pause and hold with a tiny engagement. And then exhale, inhale, everything softens. Inhale, soft. Exhale, tiny engagement, follow the breath, gentle pause, and then inhale, everything soft. And notice which is more difficult. Notice if it's difficult to find engagement of the muscles. Notice if it's difficult to make everything in the torso soft. There are no right or wrong answers, just noticing, getting to know yourself. Gentle, soft breath. Cookie. And then we're going to begin to add movement to that breath. So just bringing your feet so they're about hip width apart. We're going to breathe in. Everything soft, 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 soft. And then as we exhale, we're just going to lift the hips a little tiny amount with a little engagement. Add a gentle pause. And then inhale, everything soft. Lower the hips. Exhale, gentle engagement. Lift the hips. As if you're squeezing the breath back up through the crown of the head. Little pause. And then inhale, everything softens. And if the movement distracts you, makes it too hard to find the muscle engagement, drop back out of the movement. And then complete a full breath. And bring the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little hug. Take the feet up towards the ceiling. Wiggle the toes. Take some soft ankle circles. Just experiencing the feet up above the heart. Spread the toes wide. Curl the toes under. And then curling the toes, squeezing the feet. Take slow circles with the feet. Ankle circles as slow as you can go. Trying to keep the movement out of the legs and just in the feet, and then back the other way. And then pull the toes towards the shins and take the same ankle circles. And then back the other way. And then soften the feet. We're going to take circles with the shins. So nice slow circles, trying to keep the movement in the lower leg. And then back the other way. And then take the feet, knees above the hips, a little engagement, pushing the hips down into the ground. Pull the toes towards the shins. So now everything's engaged. Push the hips into the ground. We don't need to push the lower back. We're just pushing the hips to keep them stable. Push the rib cage down. Everything engaged. Engaged legs, engaged feet. Pull the toes towards the shin. We're going to inhale as we open the legs out to the side. Exhale as we squeeze back in. Slow, controlled movement, trying to find muscle engagement. Inhale. Exhale. If you'd like to add that little gentle pause. Inhale. Exhale. Pause. Inhale. Exhale. Pause. So really focusing on the breath today, moving with the breath. Trying to really engage the lower leg, really engage the feet. Keeping the hips steady with pushing the hips down with your stomach muscles. Bring the knees in, soften the feet. Take a little reset. And then take the feet up to the ceiling, legs long. Push the hips down again, pull the toes towards the shins. Trying not to lock around the knees. So trying to feel engaged all the way to the heels. And then we're going to take leg circles here. So little slow, tiny circles. Just connecting with all the muscles that make the movement in the legs. And then reverse your circles. Engaged legs, slow, controlled movement. Keep an eye out for those compensation patterns in the lower back. Try not to use the back to make the movement. Use the legs. And then bring the knees in. Take a little reset. Take the knees back over the hips. Ankles in line with the knees. Engage. Press the hips down. Open up the arms so the shoulders can fully land on the ground. Hold and engage here. Get strong in your base. And then we can take the legs a little bit longer. We're going to inhale as we come over a teeny bit to the right. Exhale, bring it back in. Inhale as we come over a teeny bit to the left with the feet. Exhale as we come back in. Bring your legs longer. We'll make the legs heavier, bending the knees and just taking the knees left and right. We'll make this a little bit easier. Find your place, find which works for you. And we're not moving the hips very much. We're trying to keep the core really stable and engaged and the legs really stable and engaged. Little soft, tiny, controlled movement. And again, watch for the lower back trying to do all the work. Soften the neck and the shoulders and the face. And then bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Reset. Land your feet on the ground, knees up. Take your arms up overhead. Left arm grabs right forearm. And then lean over to the left. So really opening up right side body. Bring the torso back to the center. Right arm grabs left forearm and then a little tiny curve to the right. Opening up left side body. Bring it back through center. Knees in, roll on over to a side, and come on up to a seated position. I lost my partner. She's over there sulking with me because I'm not patting her. Come on up for a seat. Get nice and long in the spine. So as long as you can, planting the hips down. So that sense of opposite, planting the hips down into the ground, and then the torso gets longer, 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 as if there's a string on the crown of your head. We're going to work through the neck and the torso with breath. So inhale, center, exhale, turn chin. Inhale back through center, exhale, turn. Nice and slow, connecting with the muscles that make this movement happen. Maybe adding your gentle pause. And I invite you also to take eye movements. So inhale, center, exhale, turn the chin and look as far as you can as you pause. Inhale back to center, exhale, turn, look in that direction as far as you can, stretching the eyes. And then bring it back to center, bring the hands out of play and think about the torso, engagement in the core, bringing your muscles tight towards the spine, long in the torso. Inhale, center, exhale, turn. Inhale, center, and exhale, turn. And try to make this movement all in the core. So notice if you're pushing down into a hip or a foot, you're trying to yank the body further. Notice that. Notice those compensation patterns and ask yourself the question, who am I competing with? Inhale, center, exhale, twist. Bring it back to center and we'll go to rainbow breath. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, hand down, open up. Inhale, arms center. Exhale, hand down, open up the opposite side body. So really thinking about lengthening the rib cage. So rather than folding over and getting as close to the ground as you can, we're thinking about lengthening the opposite side, almost as if you're going to push the rib cage the other direction. So inhale, center, exhale, open. Bring the arms up, exhale, turn to the right, land the right hand down, land the left hand down. And then think about getting taller, taller, taller in the spine. So as you're twisting and holding, trying to lengthen the vertebrae, make more space between the vertebrae. Don't yank with the hand, lift the spine. And then turn the chin all the way to the right. Trying not to grip with the hands. Lowering arms up as you inhale through center. Exhale, twist to the other side. So really twist and then land the arms. And think about lengthen the spine, turn the head. Slow, steady breath. Inhale, arms up and back to center with the torso. And bring the arms down, bringing little soft circles to the wrists, slow circles. So you bring them down and make your way to a tabletop position. We're going to move and breathe in tabletop, adding that spinal breath if you can. So inhale, tabletop position, exhale back. Just trying to think about inhaling through the crown of the head And exhaling back. Not adding the muscular action of the breath, just thinking about that spinal pattern of the breath. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Maybe even a gentle pause as you after the exhale. Begin to take any sways or spinal movements that feel good, starting to be a little fluid in the physical body, having an internal experience rather than worrying about specific positions and shapes, just starting to feel your own body on the mat. And then come on up to tabletop position. Take the left hand longer than the right, and then send the hips towards the right. So we're going to send the hips, thinking about length from the left wrist all the way down the left side body. And take the tension out of the neck, maybe rest the head on the arm. Breathe into the left rib cage. And then bring it back to a neutral tabletop. Take the right hand long and send the hips over towards the left. Thinking about length on the right side body. Send the breath in between each rib. Bring it back to a tabletop position. Turn your hands so the index fingers touch and thumbs touch, making a little triangle in your hands. You're going to bring your torso forward and bend the elbows. So start to engage. Everything should be engaged. Arms, shoulders, chest, stomach. Engage. And then make little small movements, bending the elbows, little tiny push-ups here. Take the tension out of the neck, out of the face, finding the breath. Don't hold the breath. Warm up the arms and shoulders. And then take the hands wide, still pointing in. So change the shape of your wrists. Take the hands wide. Find the position where you can take a little weight, but you're not straining the hands or arms or wrists. Hold the weight. And then turn the hands out. So out, away from you. Come forward, take a little weight. Engage the stomach, don't hold the breath. Switch again, so maybe this time bringing the hands all the way towards the knee, pointing towards the knee, and take just a little weight first. Find a little strength, and then maybe you can bend the elbows and take a little more weight. And breathe. And then place the hands back to a neutral position. Find a comfortable position for your hands and wrists. Start to engage the arms and shoulders. So we're lifting up out of the wrists, engaging the arms and shoulders, engage the stomach, tuck the toes, lift and hover the knees. So hold here, lift and hover. And we're going to take the knees and we're going to squeeze them in. So squeeze them in and let them touch. Hold and hover. This should be a lot of work. Everything should be pretty much engaged except the face. Soften the face. And we're going to inhale as we open the knees and exhale as we squeeze the knees back together. Inhale, open. Exhale, squeeze. Trying to find as many muscles as you can to squeeze and engage. And then send the hips up to a down dog position. Find whatever fluid movements to warm up your down dog that feels good. Take the tension out of the neck, out of the face. And then find the stillness of down dog. Connect with your head below your heart, turning your world upside down. Lifting your hips out of the ground. Experiencing a sense of opposites. Lifting up out of the ground while planting and grounding into the ground with your hands. And we're going to have a bend in our knees. We're going to inhale as we come forward towards a high plank. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Maybe adding that gentle pause. Inhale forward. Exhale back. So rather than worrying about exact shapes, connecting with an internal experience, taking weight into your arms, more weight into your arms, and then sending the hips up for down dog position. Inhale forward, engaging the legs, engaging the core tightly. Exhale, down dog. And then find the stillness of down dog. Soften the face. Bend the knees and either hop or step all the way up towards the hands. Land light. Feet underneath the hips. So land your hands on your thighs. Start to engage the feet without gripping the toes. Roll the weight around the feet. So moving around the feet, letting the knees move. Wherever the knees move, just thinking about moving the weight on the feet. Finding all the parts of our feet. And then take your feet a little bit wider, about mat width apart. And the same thing, take the weight around on the feet. Moving to the outer edges of the feet. Moving to the inner edges of the feet, letting the knees move as they feel they need to move. Finding our feet, finding what grounds us. Step the feet back in underneath the hips. Take a big inhale as we raise the arms up overhead. Prayer connects. And exhale, bring your prayer to heart. Inhale, lift. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale, lift. Start to take this movement a little bigger. We're going to inhale, lift, maybe come to the balls of the feet. Exhale, sink down, lower the heels, sink down to a baby chair. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down, nice and slow, and with as much control as you can, finding the muscles of the legs. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Try not to lock the knees, keeping energy in the legs. Maybe adding that gentle pause at the end of your exhale, holding your baby chair. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sink it down. If you would like a little challenge, inhale, lift. Exhale, sink down to baby chair without lowering the heels. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And then hold a baby chair with the heels lowered. Find your grounding, so settle in. Find your feet, ungrip your toes. Feel like you're pulling your feet apart, so engaging all of the muscles of the legs without letting your feet move. Hold, fire up the lower core, hands to chest. Soften the low back. So find the position of your lower back, the tilt of your hips, where your lower back can be soft. Engaged in the core, low back soft, shoulders soft. Hold. Keeping that strong engagement in the legs. We're going to inhale, open the knees a little, exhale, squeeze them back. It's a tiny movement with a lot of engagement in the legs. Inhale, open, exhale, squeeze. Try not to grip with the toes. And then inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. And soften into mountain. And move through our base. So lifting one heel at a time, just softening through the legs. Maybe starting to adjust, lift, and come through the feet. Not locking the knees, lifting one heel at a time. Pedaling the feet, nice and slow. Lower the heels back to mountain. We're going to take our arms up overhead. We're going to grab the left forearm with the right hand. We're going to hold here, so find a steady base. So watch for the compensation patterns in the lower back. Take a little bend in the knees so your lower back is not doing the work here. Engage the core. Arm up overhead. Right arm grabs left forearm. We're going to inhale, center. Exhale as we lean a little to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, lean. So notice my base is not moving. Trying to freeze your base, trying to freeze your legs and your hips. Your hips are going to want to do a lot of work. So try and freeze your base. Inhale, center. Exhale, a little over to the right. So it's a little tilt, a little lengthening on the left side. Switch sides. Left arm grabs right forearm. Inhale, center. Exhale, tiny tilt. Inhale, center. Exhale, tiny tilt. Maybe adding in your gentle pause. Bring it back through center. Roll the wrists nice and slow, all the way back down. Place your hands on your hips, palms backwards. We're going to take a little spinal movement here, so really locking our base. We're going to inhale, lift the chest, and exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. So keeping a strong, solid base. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And then we're going to take this a little different. So we're going to sweep our arms up. Inhale. Exhale, sweep away. Bring the torso all the way down softly this time, soft base. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sweep. Let everything be soft. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sweep. Inhale, lift. Think of something you need to let go of and let it go. Bring it all the way back up. Hands to prayer, mountain pose. Soften into your base. Check in on your compensation patterns. Soften. Land on your feet. We're going to bring a little bend to the knees and start to engage our base. So feel like we're pulling our feet apart without letting them move. Engage the whole leg. Engaged base, engaged stomach. Arms up, out ahead of the shoulders, palms face each other. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. So we're going to bring left hand past right knee. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist. Engaged, slow, controlled. If you want to make this a little more challenging, you're going to bring your arms wide. Inhale, lift, exhale, twist. Trying to lock that base. The outsides of your legs and hips should be fired up. Maybe even burning by now. Inhale, center. Exhale, take arm circles all the way down. Hand circles, wrist circles. And then hands to prayer mountain pose. Soften the feet, find your base. We're going to inhale up and swan dive it down, all the way down to the ground. Touch the ground. Right foot back, left foot back. High plank pose. So hold your high plank. Little strength. Find your base. And then lower the knees and find a child. And what can you let go of? So find the position in child's that you can sink into. Maybe the palms are up. Head is down. Maybe your head even rests on a block or two fists. Find the position that you can sink into. This is a surrender pose. Notice what comes up when you come into this position. Notice what the mind and the ego and the thoughts are doing. And then come on back to a tabletop and back to down dog. Lift the right leg high, bend the knee and step through low lunge. Find some movement in your low lunge, maybe using your blocks. Inhaling forward, exhaling, sending the right leg towards straight, but taking this movement fluid. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Both legs engaged and finding all the muscles in the legs. Try not to grip with the right toes, but engage right foot. Come forward in a low lunge if you can hold the ground. If not, hold your blocks. Land so that you're strong in both legs. Get really long in the torso. Lift and lengthen the torso. Try not to lay on that right thigh. Lift up out of the ground with all of the muscles of the legs. And then a little bit of more engagement in the torso. Lift the right heel. Lift it towards the left hand. Hold and hover. Maybe need to bring more of a bend in the back leg. Long in the torso, hold, and then we're gonna lower the knee and lift. It's a small movement, trying to engage the muscles of the leg. And then lower back, low lunge. We're gonna move our blocks and find our way back to a down dog. Right foot meets left, hips up. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, step through, low lunge. Find your blocks, set up, and inhale forward. Exhale, left leg towards straight. Inhale forward. Exhale back. So finding movement in the hips and the legs, engagement in the legs, finding all the muscles of the legs. Warming up, finding your own base. And then come forward and set up in a strong low lunge. So you're not gripping with the left toes. You're pulling up out of the ankle. You're engaged all the way to the left hip. Maybe a little bend in the back leg, long in the torso. So squeeze the stomach. And then maybe come forward on the block. See if you can lift left heel towards right wrist. And then lift and lower the knee. So it's a teeny tiny movement. Maybe bend the back leg a little more. Keep your engagement nice and strong. Lower the left leg back down. Remove blocks. Left leg meets right. Right back to down dog. Find your down dog. We're going to bend the knees to a hover and come forward a little bit into the arms. So our arms are really strong, chest is strong and engaged. We're going to bring right knee towards right elbow. So bring right knee towards right elbow, come forward, send it back. Left knee towards left elbow, send it back. Inhale as you come back. Exhale as you squeeze the knee towards the elbow. Inhale as you come back. Exhale as you squeeze. Send it back. Lower the knees wide. So take them a little bit wider. And then find a child. So rather than thinking about sinking the hips all the way down to the heels, perhaps making more space by taking your hands forward and then finding a little movement back towards the heels. But rather than having a goal, feeling just open hips. So really just thinking about open hips. Maybe your toes are not touching. Maybe it's more comfortable for you to have your feet parallel with your knees. You can lower the forearms. You can take the tension out of the neck. And then come on back to a down dog. Bend the knees, look towards the hands, take the right foot outside of the right hand, take the left foot outside of the left hand, and we're going to work our way down to Yogi Squat. So come down to a Yogi Squat, have your block handy. Find your position where you can land so that your feet are very comfortable. So maybe you need something underneath your heels. You want your feet to be comfortable. Find the position you can hold. Maybe you hold the block and lift some of your body weight out of the hips. Breathe. Take some movement or keep it static. Feel your own hips. And then landing into the feet. We're going to imagine that we could drive through the heels. We're going to inhale as we lift up, rise up from this position. Exhale as we bring it all the way back down. Inhale as you lift up, rise up, hands overhead, prayer through heart as we come back down. Inhale. Exhale. Maybe add that gentle pause. Inhale. Exhale. Bring it down. Maybe place the block underneath the hips this time. Land your Malasana, Yogi Squat. Thinking about hips open. So, land on your block. If you're going to hold your legs open, press your arms into your legs and your legs into your arms. Maybe close the eyes. Find your center. And then from this position, we're going to make our way all the way down to our back. Back where we started. So take your time. Come on down to your back. Bring your hips onto the ground. Bring your knees in. Time to relax and start to soften. So all the muscle work is done. So bring your feet about mat width apart, wherever the knees and the lower back are comfortable. Bring your shoulders to the ground. Maybe wiggle the head around to make sure that you soften the neck. We're going to let the knees slowly windshield wiper. So, not flopping, but slowly. So inhale as the knees are up towards the ceiling. Exhale as you fold them over. Inhale back to center. Exhale over to the other side. And as you start to get the hang of this movement, you can start to move through the hips, maybe lifting one a little. Starting to feel what feels good in your own body. Having an internal experience guided by the breath. Maybe adding that gentle pause at the end of the exhale. Starting to body scan, feeling your feet, feeling around your knees and your hips. Bring the knees back to center. Take the right knee over the left knee. Bring the knees in towards the chest and draw feet towards opposite shoulders. Hold. Maybe place the arms on the shins. Breathe. So we're looking for warmth in the right hip glute piriformis area. And this is a collection of our fight or flight muscles. So rather than yanking into them and telling them to stretch and go to their end zone, find them and imagine sending fresh breath and softness here. And with that long, slow, steady breath, maybe we can begin to tell our base that they can soften and rest. Take a break. Slowly unravel. Take left knee over right. Draw the knees in towards the chest and the feet to opposite shoulders. Maybe rest your hands on your shins. And find your breath. Check in on the softness of the neck and the face. Slowly unravel. Land your feet on the ground, knees up, and just take a little check in on the low back. Make sure it's nice and soft. Land your arms on the ground, palms up so that the shoulders can be heavy on the ground. Shoulders heavy. Soften the neck. Now we're going to let the knees come over to the right. So letting both knees come over towards the right, connecting with left side body. So trying to leave the left shoulder heavy on the ground and not having a goal with our knees. So there's no goal. We're trying to have an experience from the left armpit to the left hip. So we're just thinking about making space along that left side body. Breathe. Maybe wiggle the feet around, the knees around. Find the position where you feel most open on that left side, from the armpit to the hip. Slowly bring the knees back through center. Take a little reset. Check in on the lower back. Landing the arms and shoulders down heavy, especially keeping the right shoulder down. Take the knees over towards the left. Mindful. Finding the low back, making sure there's no tweaks and pulls in the low back. Just trying to open and find right side rib cage. Bring the knees back through center. We're going to return to that spinal breath. So find the position where your low back is comfortable, your knees and hips are comfortable, and we're going to return to the same breath we began practice with. So landing the hips and shoulders on the ground, imagining we can breathe in through the crown of our head, all the way down our spine, and then all the way back up, pushing our breath just ever so slightly, pushing our breath back up as if we're sending it through the midbrain and through the crown of the head. Connecting with our breath, connecting with what our breath is, breathing in fresh and releasing out things no longer needed. So breathe in fresh energy, fresh life, all the way down the spine, our important energetic highway. And then breathe out, send out anything no longer needed. And whenever we're working on the breath or we're working on releasing things held, try not to let your cognitive mind add in a story. Try not to let your cognitive mind be the star of the show. And just focus on the image of your breath, bringing fresh down your spine and releasing what is held, releasing what is stuck, releasing what is ready to be processed back up through the spine, through the head, and out. Try not to let a story or a moment or a memory, just the breath. And try not to beat the head up when it tries to do what it does. It always wants to be center of attention. Just as the ego also wants its little shining in the sun, your thoughts want to be center of attention. So just trying to return to following the breath, adding a little imagination. Maybe you're breathing in sparkly, glittery energy down your spine and releasing dust and debris all the way back up. And then if this is the perfect position for you to go into your resting pose, please feel free to remain in that position, knees up, feet down, back on the ground. If it is not the position that you find most comfortable for your resting pose, please feel free to adjust your position, but try to do it without waking the body up too much. So imagine you have a sleeping puppy, which I do somewhere in the room. She left me. You're trying not to wake it. So try and move into your resting pose slow and soft and mindful as you possibly can. And then take a moment to scan the body, scan the physical body. Notice the feet, notice the knees, the ankles, the hips, the torso, the neck, the shoulders. Just checking in, finding sensation. And then letting go of control of even the breath. Finding the ground and surrendering into it. Taking some time to switch off the muscles as completely as you possibly can. And it can be very helpful in this. The energy in the world right now is extremely anxious, world over. The world is being turned around, turned upside down, and it can be helpful to acknowledge that this is natural, that all this energy and distress that we're picking up on and feeling, even if we're not cognitively understanding it, it's there. So it can be helpful to acknowledge that space, acknowledge this excess energy, this change, this vibration that we feel. Collectively, the whole planet has changed quite drastically, and change brings an energy. So whether you're happy with your change or unhappy with your change or a mixture of both, acknowledge that those feelings are there. Once we acknowledge that they're there, we can hold space for them. It's when we're constantly trying to shove them down and we're saying, no, 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 we're going to only feel positive love, light, and rainbows, that these feelings are confused. And they get louder and louder and louder until they come up to be acknowledged. So take some time to sit and give those feelings space. And then it can be helpful to turn back to the physical body. Notice that your hips are grounded, whatever position you're in. Notice that you're supported, that the ground is there, that you're on the ground, and that your hips, your low back in particular, your torso, can turn off, release, let go. And as these fight or flight muscles are often stuck in a gripping pattern, it can be helpful to say right here, in this moment, all of my needs are met. And rather than thinking about what we need to solve for our entire life, for our entire week, our entire month, just thinking about softening for this moment in time and taking a break. If you have more time to take in your resting position, please take as much time as you need. If you only have 60 minutes today, we're right on that 60-minute mark, so begin to bring little movements to the body. Begin to wake up and soften back into the room. And take a big, deep breath in before you take too much more movement, and without thinking about it, lift and lengthen the body in whatever way your body wants to move. So take a stretch, take a lengthen, and exhale, soften. Trust in the body's intuition to take any little wiggles and adjustments it needs. And then curl up in a ball in a fetal position, ending your practice in these familiar patterns. Taking a moment to connect with the fetal position, reminding us of a time in the womb when all of our needs were met and we had not judged ourselves as negative or positive or piled on so many of the layers of life. We were just that little spark. And connect with that little spark within that it remains unchanged by our experiences, waiting for us to connect in and recharge. The spark below the voices and the waves of the mind, below the ego, below fear and emotion. A little vibration of ourselves, our spark, our soul, whenever you want to call it, your heart center. And then come on up to a seated position, bringing your hands to prayer at heart space. And taking a moment to really consider the possibility of accepting yourself as whole and complete, precisely as you are. May we spend a little of our day today connecting within to our spark of life, recharging from our heart center. Thank you for joining us.